Hi and welcome to Life-with-liv.chacha. That's me. I've had a short break, but now I'm back. And this is week 3 of Ultimate Self-Mastery with Peter Sage. In this week, we're going to talk about how we are not failing fast enough. And Peter's meeting with Dan. I don't remember his last name. It's this video, or the audio that I listened to this week was a part of the Business Growth podcast, and it's number 40 in case you want to go listen to it. We're going to talk about trying to catch fulfillment at the race of achievement. Doesn't work. How to not tie self-worth to money worth, and how I am without any labels is enough. We're also going to come around how we are all adaptation machines, and that if there's chaos in the outer world, check how you're thinking, check your inner world, because it follows. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna head right into it. I don't have so much time, so I'm gonna try and make it a bit shorter than last video. Okay, so the first Peter that they're talking about, and which Peter says, is you're not failing fast enough. And I relate so hard to this, how we're always scared of failing. We're maybe holding ourselves back, or I'm holding myself back from achieving things and from trying things because I'm scared of failing, just like we talked in an earlier version about how perfectionism isn't perfectionism but scared of failing-ism. And I think that's so true. I am sure that so many people in this world keep themselves from doing what they love or being happy because we're so scared of failing, and we're taught that failing is bad, and that if you answer wrong when you put up your hand in school, the teacher might not be happy with you. But this creates so much fear, which holds us back from doing things in life. And if we don't dare to fail, we never learn. And also from failure is meant to be there so that you grow and learn, and life is about growing and learning, right? Okay, so he met this guy Dan. Maybe I'll figure out the name and I'll write it in the description below. Dan was a mentor of Peter Sage, and he met him for the first time in his early 20s, I think. We're sitting at one of Dan's speeches, and here's a little description of what happened. So Dan came into the room. First, he let everybody wait, and then he came into the room and he stood there with his hands on his hips, and he looked like he owned London. Like he was dressed from top to toe like one of the richest men in the world. And he was quiet for 1 minute long, just looking around in the audience, trying to make eye contact with everybody. And then he said, "You are all fucking poor." And the question that Peter asks is why do we settle for less than what we are worth? which I think is a good question. And then Dan, in this talk, he kept offending people. He said, do this, do that, don't do this, offend them. And so half of the room just left the place because they were so offended after 20 minutes. And then there was the other half which were left, maybe thinking, I like this guy. Because he dared to call out people on their bullshit. He dared to say, drop that, stop that, get over it, work, come on, let's go. Yeah, and Peter said a lot about how Dan is a good motivator, and at the same time you also mentioned that it's a lot in by me. As you remember, there are 4 awareness levels: to me, I'm the victim, everything happens to me. Second, by me, life is going to happen, I'm going to make things happen. Third one, through me, life happens through me, life happens for me, I have faith in everything. And the last one, as me, everyone is connected, we are all a part of something bigger. And I can see how Dan is just by me and just like, come on, let's go, we can fight for this, we can do it. Yeah. I think a lot about these levels pretty much every day, I think, or quite often, and it helps me to see myself in a different way, seeing, okay, now I'm in by me, now I'm in to me. And when I'm in to me, I try to let go of the blame. And when I'm in by me, I try to let go of the control, that everything has to be in a certain way, and start trusting instead, so I can get to some kind of level of through me. Every time I am able to enter the level of through me, it is amazing. So amazing. And things are starting to happen. I might explain more about that later. Yeah. Okay, then the next thing that I think is really important, he's talking about that we in business, this is a business podcast episode, right? So in general, but especially in businessmen, we are trying to catch fulfillment at the racetrack of achievement. And that doesn't work. Like, inner fulfillment, feeling full, feeling like you're enough, doesn't come from earning $1 million. Once you earned $1 million, you will feel like you need another $1 million, because what if you lose the first one? And I think a lot of people, and also myself probably, tie our worth to money. Oh, that was the next one. Yeah, but it's all connected. And also tie ourselves to the business or our job. Like, if I lose my job, I become worth less. If I'm jobless, I'm worth less. If my business fail, or I lose all my money because I used to spend it wrong in my business, I'm worth less? No. Just no. How you succeed with business or jobs, blue fingers, doesn't change your worth. We are all worthy just when we are born. You know, like, there's 1 million cells. There are 1 million cells trying to get into that egg, but you were the one who made it. That already makes us so special. But no matter what, we are good enough, we are enough, and therefore it doesn't matter how many times we fail. It doesn't matter how many times you lose all your money, you lose your home, whatever. You are still worthy. We are still worthy. I am still worthy of love and good enough. Which I think is the main point of this whole thing at the moment, at least. Okay, but so back to the trying to get fulfillment at the racetrack of achievement. We think we can just chase a little faster and then we can catch the rabbit. He uses this metaphor about these race dogs trying to catch the rabbit. So they're running, 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 and there's this rabbit driving around in a circle, right? And they run, and they are never, ever, ever going to catch that rabbit, because the game is built so that when a dog comes closer, there's a electric magnetic force or something like electricity feels that the dog comes closer, and then the rabbit just runs faster, and so the dog will never ever catch the rabbit, because it is not the point of the game. The point is running, that the dogs run as fast as they can, and at the end of the race the dog is not going to be unhappy because it didn't catch the rabbit. It's going to be happy and full of joy because it's been running, which is kind of what the dog is made for. It loves to run, right? And it got to run so fast trying to catch this rabbit that it's never ever going to catch, but it doesn't matter. Because what matters is that it's doing what it loves to do. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of wisdom here, that we try to catch fulfillment in a game of achievement, and you can't catch that rabbit because the game is not designed like that. And then also that as the dog does what it loves to do, which is running, so should we do what we love to do. I should do what I love to do, instead of thinking, oh, I don't know, I need to achieve a split or something, but I usually don't find it amazing to stretch. But I know that yoga is really good for me, so I do yoga, and in that way, at some point, someday, if I do it enough, I'm probably going to achieve a split. But it's the other way around. I do something that I like, and that takes me out in life, and I trust that when I do what I like, I grow in the way that I am supposed to grow. Okay. And he says this really important thing: we are already that which we seek. We are already that which we seek. We are already good enough. And when we realize that, then we can start doing business for the sake of doing business, because it's what we love. Yeah. Start doing what you love to do for the sake of doing it, not for the first million. Then there's this question: how do you break that mindset and transition into a new mindset? Like break the mindset of you want to achieve 1 million or whatever. And then he says this important thing that I already said: don't tie self-worth to money worth. Yeah. Okay, I think I already talked about this, so I'm gonna go further. Then he talks some business stuff about how to do educational advertising instead of all other types of advertising. It's basically saying, you have a problem, I have a solution. Showing people there is this problem and I can help you fix it, or I can help it get easier. He's saying, write something which is already running, meaning use already used methods, If someone has a great way of advertising something, buy in on it, be a part of that. Make a deal if you are a bike repair person. Make a deal with the other bike repair place, and like, instead of doing only competition work together. That's something he talked about. I'm not explaining this so well because I didn't take so well notes about that, since I didn't think that it applies to me so much. But of course, if you buy the course yourself, you can go and listen to it and learn everything about what there is to learn about business. Very interesting. He says you don't need the resource of money, you need the mindset of resourceness from a perspective of adding value. So you don't need money to start a business, you need to think in this very resourceful way that how can I add value? Yeah. And then back to the fear. We tend to avoid the fear, avoiding mistakes, because the business is connected to your self-worth, to my self-worth. I don't try things that I'm not sure about because I'm scared that it will fail, and if it fails, it means I'm failing because I think that my business is equal to my self-worth. And he asked this amazing question, really amazing. Goes like this: if you knew it was impossible to fail, would you still be doing the same business? If you knew it was impossible to fail, whatever you wanted to do in the entire world, what would you do? And if you already have a business or a job, if you knew it was impossible to fail, would you still be doing this job? Would you still be doing that business? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about your experiences. I think it's an awesome question, and it really motivates me to dare and just try, and I'm slowly giving up this, that failing is so bad. But boy, that's something I have to learn, that it's okay to fail. Sometimes I'm thinking about just practicing, like going 100% in for just trying to fail something, and in that way tricking myself to realize that failure isn't so bad. But it's very hard, very hard. Okay. Let's move on. Labels. Who are you? Who am I? Without my labels, if I can't say I'm a dancer, if I can't say I am Charlotte, or whatever labels you tie to yourself or that I tie to myself, I'm someone who loves food. If I try to let go of all those labels, who am I? And he says it comes down to I am. I am. Everything after that is a choice. If we can get comfortable with that, I am, we can choose the labels that come after consciously, rather than putting stuff on to avoid fears or seek validation to prove to others or prove to the world what we are. And if the label doesn't fit, I can change it. I am. And it comes back to I'm enough. I'm good enough. I am. I just am. And I don't need to prove anything. Doesn't matter if I'm tall enough, good enough, smart enough, old enough, young enough. I am. And I have nothing to prove. I think this is very beautiful, and I realized that I already wrote that at some point in an introduction about myself. I wrote like, I'm a dancer, I am blah, I am blah, I am blah, I am blah, and it ended up with me just saying I am. I am. Because we always have to introduce ourselves, right, in so many situations, and really sometimes the labels can be so conforming, so trapping. So I feel the need sometimes to just say I am. I'm getting more and more blue. I think it comes from the book, which is green, so that's funny. Okay, maybe it is green. Quite the same color, huh? Yeah, alright. That's because I have sweaty hands. Yeah, I'm not perfect. Okay, I will move on. Then he talks about health and vitality. Energy is a product of passion and interest. That's like how the body follows the mind. The body follows the mind. Like, if the mind is tired, the body agrees. Yeah, if the mind is passionate and inspired, it is energized and the body will follow. If there's something you don't want to do, your body will also be like, yeah, I don't want to do it. But if you're really motivated about going on this walk, the body will also be like, yeah, let's go on a walk. Yeah. So it's really about, like what you also talked about in the last video, how was it the video before that? I don't know. How it's about being inspired. If you're inspired up here, also the body will keep going. Yeah. He's repeating himself. Setting a goal is not the achievement, is not to achieve it, but to see who you need to become to achieve that goal. If you miss the goal, but you still become more while trying to achieve that goal, then you also won something. And it's more about seeing who will you become while trying to achieve that goal than actually reaching the goal. One more really important thing, if you have chaos in the outer world, check your thinking. Because chaos in the inner world creates chaos in the outer world. Follows each other. The only problem is that there is a delay. So we need to create the peace in the inner world, and then the peace in the outer world will come. But it's not immediate, and so the reward takes time. And therefore we often tend to give up and think it's not related, but it is. At least according to Peter, and I think I believe that as well. Yeah. Okay, last thing, that we are an adaptation machine. We we adopt our surroundings. So he says, if you are the smartest money in the room, if you're the smartest person in the room, go find another room. Because you will never be smarter. Because everyone else around you are not smarter than you. So go find another room where you are not the smartest. That's where you learn, that's where you grow. That's where we learn, that's where we grow. I know it's so hard also for me to go take a dance class and feel like I'm in the back and I'm definitely one of the worst dancers in the room. Worst dancers, there's no such thing really, right? Just different, or having more difficulty learning the stuff we're doing, or doing the handstand, or doing the high legs, or whatever it is. But if I want to grow, I need to go into that room where I'm not the best. Yeah. And then he says something that's really important. If we invalidate someone who might be at a different awareness level, we put ourselves beneath them. Just because we've had access to more insight, it's just because we've had access to more insight. And we're all at different points and parts of our journey, and we're all in different places on the mountain. So never invalidate someone who's in a different awareness level than you. And this is one of the things I love about the program, that there's so much love and so much compassion, and it's super focused on building yourself the best you can be, and at the same time loving everyone, giving love to everyone. And it doesn't matter how smart they are, which level of awareness they have. If they have seen the same things, or if you disagree about things, doesn't matter. Everyone deserves love, and everyone is good enough. Yeah, and I will stop there. It was long. I could probably talk so much more about this. It's really interesting to me. There were some really very, very good things. I definitely have to listen to this again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I'm super grateful to be able to share. Thank you. I love you all. I love you. I love myself. Hope you can love in your life. See you next time. Bye.